Welcome to this very special edition of The Freedom Report, hosted by Justin Pollock. Hello there to all my wonderful viewers out there. I have quite a show for you guys planned today. Rather than the usual talk about the economy, I thought it would be fun to throw it back to the 1920s. Many of my viewers are young and do not fully understand the impact of how our way of life today is really not all that different from how they lived in the 20s. So, when you call in, please just say your first name, where you are from, where you go to school, and what you want to know about the 1920s. To make this a little more fun, I'm going to try to get some music from the 1920s to play, and there we go. Alright, first question.
Hi, my name is Lauren Baker, and I go to Walt Whitman High School. Can you talk to me a little bit about Henry Ford, mass production, and the assembly line?
Great question, Lauren. The 1920s was a time of change in the United States, mostly through adopting new techniques such as Henry Ford utilizing the assembly line and companies promoting mass production and consumers reaping the benefit of this mass production, which was mass consumption. The idea of mass production was to produce as much of one product as fast as you could. Originally, businesses would only produce what was in demand in that particular time, but the idea of mass production created a surplus of that particular product. Because there was a surplus, the price of that product would go down, and that attracted more buyers. The assembly line, which was made popular by Ford, had workers assigned to specific stations in which the product would move from station to station until the product was finished. He was determined to build one type of car that the average American worker could afford. It is very important to note that both Model T and the assembly line revolutionized American society, and you could even go as far as saying that this created the foundation of the world as a whole that we live in today.
Okay, thank you so much for taking my call.
No problem. Now, let's just jump right into our next person. Hello, you are live on the Freedom Report. What is your question?
My name is Kevin. I go to Whitman, and I was wondering if you could talk about the economic growth in the job industry as well as the expansion of roadways.
Great question, Kevin. An important fact to note is that the number of registered cars jumped from 8 million to 23 million. The job growth that accompanied the assembly line was tremendous. In 1904, 12,000 workers were employed to the auto industry, but just 25 years later, in 1929, there were over 450,000 workers in the auto industry. Not only did Ford want to create a car that the average American worker could afford, he also wanted to make it as simple as possible so that they did not have to hire a chauffeur or conductor to drive the car. What was once considered a luxury toy became a mainstay in the American society. Over 10,000 of the Model T was sold in the first year, which marked a new record, and rather than making the price more expensive, a principle that many businessmen resort to, Ford lowered the price, allowing for even more people to purchase the car. With the amount of Americans owning cars rapidly increasing, more roadways were needed for all the cars, which led to the rapid expansion of American highways. In 1920, there was just 369,000 miles of roads. Just 9 years later, in 1929, there was over 850,000 miles of roads. Because of the more affordable cars, people wanted to drive anywhere and everywhere. Due to the high demand of highways, over $1 billion was spent towards building a national highway, and over $2 billion was spent annually on building and maintaining the roadways. With the growth of highways, many economic benefits followed. In a 47-mile stretch from Newark to Trenton, New Jersey, there was 300 gas stations and over 450 billboards.
Just one more question. Did this rapid expansion of roadways lead to anything else?
Interestingly enough, yes it did. This expansion of highway also led to the first wave of suburbanization in American life. With the invention of the automobile, people could live further from their job. The increased mobility that a car offered enabled people to drive from their new suburban house to their work in the city each morning and then home at night.
Thank you, Justin.
Yeah, sure thing. Alright, looks like we have time for one last caller. You are on the air.
Hi, my name is Gabby. I go to Whitman, and I was calling to ask if you could cover how the lifestyle of people who lived in the suburbs changed.
As I said earlier, The mass production of goods and services allowed for prices to drop, which led many Americans to mass consumption, which the government highly encouraged because in the economy that we have, it works best when goods are always being made and people are always buying those goods. Before the 1920s, there were many goods that were labor-saving but were only available to the wealthiest in the United States. Because of the mass production of the goods during the 20s and the dropping prices, it became more affordable for the average American worker. These goods included items that we now use every day, such as refrigerators and washing machines. Electricity became widely available, allowing for these appliances to be used, which saved many long hours for housewives, and for the first time, Americans had more leisure, which led to a boom in the entertainment industries, and it also meant new business.
Alright, thank you. Goodbye.
Sure thing, and that is all the time we have for our show today. I hope you enjoyed this special edition of The Freedom Report, and I hope you listen next week with our special guest star, Hillary Clinton, talking about the shift she has seen in gender equality and the impact that this closing gap has had on the economy since the turn of the century. That is all for now. So long for just a while.